Big D Entertainment, in association with Dipsy Doodle Productions, presents The Dave Holly Hour, brought to you by Trio Jazz Club, Sioux Falls' premier jazz club. Enter as friends, leave as family. Serendipity Studio Gallery and Gifts, Chasers Food and Spirits, Excel Chiropractic, Quality Nails, and the Sioux Falls Arts Council. The Dave Holly Hour features Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment Conversations. A true lover of arts, entertainment, good food, and fun times, including an occasional Jack Daniels. Okay, so a few Jack Daniels. Here he is, Dave Holly.
Hello, all you arts lovers. Thanks for joining us for episode number 272. If this is your first time listening, as the show open mentioned, this podcast features conversations with creators of all aspects of the arts community around the Sioux Falls, South Dakota metro area, which we affectionately refer to as the Sioux Empire. Okay, Empire, there's no king nor queen or other members of royalty, but I do think that for fun we should make one up. What we do have here, however, is an endless array of great visual and performing artists. In a few minutes, we talk with guitarist, singer, songwriter Brian Detmers, but he says that order should be more songwriter, guitarist, singer. Later in the show, we're joined by the multi-creative Courtney Hardie, along with Diane Eide from Midwest Street Medicine, to talk about a fundraiser coming up later in the month. But first, let's pop the cork on this bubbly little show.
Time to grab your favorite beverage, lift it high, and toast it to being Thursday, a.k.a. Weekend Eve.
Hey, the weekend isn't around the corner, it's here!
So long, hump day and your frumpy way. We say hello to Thursdays with opening nights. The weekend is near and we can see the bright lights. Yes, Thursday, you're so hearty, we can't wait for Friday, so a day early, we start the party.
Doesn't matter what you toast with, as we all have different tastes and different times of the day that we listen. Me, of course, when I'm putting this together, I'm having my usual, a Jasper Newton, a Jack Daniels Diet Coke with a lime, double tall. You might be drinking water, milk, coffee, tea, beer, wine, or champagne. Whatever your beverage of choice is, lift it high and toast to longer days. We grill pretty much year-round here, and we can actually enjoy grilling in sunlight a few minutes extra every day now. Oh, and my love has become a grill master, so I sit back with a libation in hand, listening to music on our patio while getting a waft of sizzling perfection. Cheers to you, Extra Sunshine. The Weekend Eve Toast is brought to you by Chasers, West 12th and Ellis Road. Stop in for great food, great beverages, and fun times. Join us on Monday nights at 7 for Dave Holly Hour Trivia. Coming up next Monday, April 14th, the day before taxes are due. Our theme is Death and Taxes. Reminds me there's something I need to do over the weekend. Honorable mention. What made Dave laugh, chuckle, chortle, downright slap my knee silly, or even shed tears of joy recently? Oh, it was total joy taking in the Glenn Miller Orchestra at the Pavilion Tuesday night. To hear those horns, absolutely magnificent. Now, in addition to the long-standing big hits from the big band, they've added some new songs out of the Glenn Miller catalog throughout the years. They've been touring now 80 years. Obviously, the band members change. There was nobody over the age of 80. The band leader did play a great trick on the audience to end the first set. Because he'd already been talking about, new music, and then he said, this one tonight, it's a new song that we are playing for the very first time ever. We were all sucked in, and it took less than a second for everyone to realize it was the orchestra's most famous song, In the Mood. It's wonderful. When a performance is so great, there's two standing ovations, one at the end of the first set and another at the end of the show. Later in this show, we talk with creative artist Courtney Hardie, along with Diane Eide from Midwest Street Medicine, to hear about a fundraiser planned later this month. In just a few minutes, we talk with songwriter, guitarist, singer Brian Detmers. He has a new single that drops Friday. That's next on the Dave Holly Hour. Looking for something special to do this weekend? Join Serendipity Studio Gallery and Gifts at the Atrium Makers Market. It's held every Saturday from 10 until 4. Features handmade jewelry, pottery and textiles, unique art, photography and sculptures, locally crafted candles, soaps, and gourmet items. It takes place in the historic Shriver Square building in beautiful downtown Sioux Falls. Serendipity Studio Gallery and Gifts. When all those cats jam, it turns into America's best music. Put some swing in that big band sound with the full 16. The Fellowship Jazz Center invites you to celebrate International Jazz Day with them Wednesday, April 30th, 7 p.m. at the Belbus Theater in the Washington Pavilion. It's the debut of the Fellowship Jazz Center Orchestra, an unforgettable evening of works by renowned American composers, paying tribute to the rich tradition of jazz while introducing a bold new era of big band music to Sioux Falls. The evening will open with a special performance by Mitchell High School Jazz 1. This debut concert is more than just a performance, it's a community celebration. Tickets available on the Washington Pavilion website.
Support the Dave Holly Hour in a very easy way. Buy Dave a cup of coffee by clicking the cup at davehollyhour.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Oh, you know what I love to say here. It's always a pleasure to talk Sioux Empire Arts and Entertainment, and it's always a pleasure as well to have a new guest on. How it's taken so damn long to get him here, I'm not sure, but you have probably seen him play somewhere in this area. So we have Brian Detmers. You list on your Instagram page as guitarist, singer, songwriter.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Now, is that it, or are there other factors that go into that as well?
I think those hit the box.
Okay.
For most of it, right there. Songwriter first, guitarist second, singer third. I'm not the best singer in the world, although my wife would argue that my lower register baritone, my natural voice,
Right.
is very pleasant and pleasing. And I actually go out and do dates in nursing homes and assisted living centers,
I was
retirement
reading that.
communities, sing a bunch of old country music.
Oh, yeah.
And I sing down in my low
Yeah.
register.
What's the go-to for that then?
I do a lot of Johnny Cash.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I even venture into some of the female artists too, although I'll still sing it in my low register.
Well, as you were just singing a snippet there, I thought, what's kind of Don Williams-ish?
You are about the third person to tell me that.
Yeah.
That I sound like Don Williams. And so I did add a couple of Don Williams songs into my repertoire. It was funny because I would fancy myself singing, some Ray Price and some of these older fellas. And somebody goes, "Do you ever do any Don Williams?" And I've heard of him. And then when I started learning these songs and they were so naturally in my voice, I thought, well, how did I miss that? But yeah, it's fun.
All right. What Ray Price songs do you have?
Heartaches by the Number.
Okay.
And Please Release Me.
Okay. Yeah.
Stolen by Engelbert Humperdinck.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say Engelbert Humperdinck.
It is a great name, isn't it?
Can you imagine being in the 7th grade with a name like that?
Occasionally in karaoke, I will sing some Engelbert Humperdinck.
It's not easy to say.
Yeah, it's not. It's a tough one, that is for sure. So what got this whole ball rolling with you being in music? Forced to take piano lessons? What was it?
I wish. I never learned how to read music. I never started early. I was a late comer by most people's standards. I think I was somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 years old or 16 before I decided that I could play a guitar to some degree. But the biggest thing is I listened to KISD AM radio when I was a small child. Grew up on 41st Street, before back in the day when Sioux Falls was still just a big town.
Yeah.
And I just loved the radio. I'd always carry my brother's transistor radio around when, he was out with his, playing baseball or whatever he was doing. But I'd loved listening to the old stuff, like Petula Clark, the Dave Clark Five.
Oh,
I loved those guys. Oh my gosh, I just loved them. And then I got into, of course, the Rolling Stones. And my brother was a big Beatles fan, so I had to go with the Stones because you can't be
the same. Yeah, you can't follow in those footsteps.
And I think the Monkees were a big deal for me too early on. So.
You mean the guys that had to learn how to play instruments and sing? Yeah. Always such a great tale on that. Yeah.
That is a great tale. Although Papa Nesmith there, he was probably the most accomplished when they started.
Yeah.
I loved Mickey Dolenz' voice. I thought, what a great pop rock voice.
Very true.
He had some, then when they had that second album they put out called More of the Monkees, I think it opened up with a song called She.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. It was mind-blowing for me at that time that you could do things like that in the studio and make those sounds. And so I had to give it a go.
Yeah, you just had to. When was the first time you were in a studio then?
Sioux City, the basement of Flood Music.
Mm-hmm.
I was a teenager, and I got to do a couple of Saturday mornings down there. A mom and pop duo from Mason City came in there one time, and their guitar player had a flat on the way in, and he couldn't make it. And they said, I was noodling around upstairs, and they said, "Come on down and play guitar for us." And I'm like, I'm not sure I can do that. They said, "Well, we are, so get down."
They had the confidence in you.
They did. And so I did that. I think the first two songs I played on was a couple of ballads, some old country standards. And one of them was a Don Williams song.
Well, there we go.
Yeah. Isn't that weird? Isn't that funny?
How it all comes back.
It does.
Yeah. All right. So you've stuck, you said, I like that. That's interesting. You guitarist, singer-songwriter, but songwriter, guitarist, singer.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
Yeah. Well, when did the songwriting start then?
I started writing lyrics right away when I was listening to the songs in the 60s, as bad as the lyrics were, but I started writing lyrics, and then I started writing poetry, and my school teachers really liked my poetry, so I gravitated towards English classes and all that stuff. So I started with the poetry, and then I started picking up my brother's guitar to learn chords so I could sing something with sing a melody with those lyrics that I'd written. And that's how the guitar playing came to be. I never took a lesson. Wished I could have. Don't know how to read music still. I can read chord charts and follow along if I have to do a studio gig.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's plenty of guitar players out there that are better than I am. but I just learned it so that as a vehicle for my lyrics, my poetry.
So when you sit down and write now, what comes to mind? What's your process?
Now it's the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I do a lot of experimentation with chord progressions, intervals and dropping and ascending notes in certain chords. And so that's where I'll sit down with either an electric in a quiet place, a real quiet room with an electric, or an acoustic. It just depends. And then I'll come up with a nice chord progression that I like. And then when I hear a melody pop out in my head, And then I'll go to a notebook and I'll start writing lyrics for that melody. So it's a completely different world.
Yeah, I hear so many times, it's the lyrics first for a lot of people.
And it was for me for the longest time.
But now it's
the other way around. Yeah, I'll always wish that I could have taken music when I was a young kid. We didn't have the money in our family. It just wasn't there. And so everything I've learned, I've taught myself, from radio songs or wearing the grooves out of record albums, going to watch the popular 60s bands in Sioux Falls when I was a kid. One of my favorites was the Dynamic Horsemen.
Yeah.
My dad's friend, his son was in that band. Peters was his last name. And they always had their equipment set up in the basement when I'd go over there to visit, and oh, wow, electric guitars and drums.
Yeah. Yeah, like me, when I go into a studio, I'm looking at a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
In fact, I was recently in Nashville and got to go into Studio B. Took the tour of that. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Studio itself, it's not much.
No.
But, they start playing the songs that were recorded there and so forth. And then you look at some of the, because then a different room, because they still use Studio B occasionally.
Oh, okay.
But there is a different room that has the board that originally was in Studio B. And you look at it and go, oh, my Lord. Yeah.
Did you feel as if you were on hallowed ground? Or?
Yeah, very much so. Because you walk in, it's a good looking, like a museum would be, or a memorial, or whatever you want to call it. And you start walking past everything. Oh man, that's cool. And then you see the old antiquated, wow. And then you go in, and I didn't realize Elvis had recorded there 13 times.
Wow.
Yeah. And what they did that was just so interesting is they would play a song that he had recorded there, and then they would make the lights appear for the mood that he was in when he wrote that. And then finally at the end, all black. He recorded it with no lighting.
He was an interesting fellow, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's for sure. But, you forget of all the different things. People forget, first of all, they think, Nashville, it's just country music. It's still known as Music City, USA.
Yeah.
In fact, I got off the plane. The first thing I see in the terminal, here's a jazz band playing. So
that is something people forget.
Yeah, very true.
That there was a lot of mountain music, and R&B, early R&B, Delta blues, even.
That's right. Yeah,
and it's those histories fascinate me. Memphis, Sun City, those things.
Yeah,
anything up and along the Mississippi River, to me, from Chicago on down to the Delta, is the stories and the infamous recording sessions and all those things. They're a blast to read about.
Well, speaking of recording sessions, you record now at Warehouse.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And is Mark producing your stuff?
Mark is producing my stuff, and he is he's got a great set of ears.
Yes, he does.
I always tell him you'd have to go 1,000 miles in another direction to find somebody that might be as good as him.
So, do you have a single coming out?
We just re-released an album called for my project called These Broken Lions. Is the name of the band, if you will. It's a conglomerate of musicians, but the Glass Falcon Affair was a record that I'd written during COVID, and then it was released, I think, in 2023 originally. And when I got together with Mark and Dave Pendry recently to be on their Crazy Poet label, we decided to re-release that. So Mark went in and remastered remixed and remastered. And and put a couple of the newer songs that I'd written in that collection.
Okay. Yeah.
Took some of the older songs that I'd written out of that collection and moved them into something we're going to release here this summer.
Okay.
So yeah, it's basically a re-release there. Now the single that's coming out, I have to think it's tomorrow.
I do believe so.
I just realized that. Sorry about the pause there, but yeah, that's the thing called "The Heart of Tennessee," and that's a song off a collection of songs called "The Push Button Plymouth Affair." So, do you remember the television show "The Man from U.N.C.L.E.?"
Yes.
So I've got the Glass Falcon Affair, and then I've got the Push Button Plymouth Affair. And I loved that program when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
It was right along the same time I was discovering all those British bands and everything. And, Napoleon Solo and Ilya Kuryakin, the two, and,
All right. So you've mentioned a lot of the bands that you listened to, and now what you felt you were getting into. But what about the actual one that you maybe put a little bit higher than anybody else?
Of all the bands
of all
I've
the
been?
bands or the solo artists?
Oh, I see. My influence.
Your influence.
Okay.
Yes. And then we'll get to your bands.
Okay. All right. Sure. I'm sorry.
Well, you're fine.
A little daydreamy here in this ungodly hour. I think I always, in the early years, it had to be the Dave Clark Five and the Rolling Stones. Yeah. And then in the 70s, I found out about a guitar player from Sioux City by the name of Tommy Bolin. And he started out in, playing in local bands like, pop bands and whatever. And then he left high school because he got kicked out of high school for his length of his hair. And he hitchhiked to Colorado, got in a band called Zephyr. And then when Joe Walsh left the James Gang, he became their guitar player. And then he also did an album with Deep Purple when Ritchie Blackmore left that band. But I followed him early because I grew up in Canton as a teenager. We moved around a lot, but by the time I was a teenager, I was in Canton, South Dakota, and there was a cool record store there that was run by Craig Brown, and he'd always turn me on as the latest music.
Right.
He was the first to introduce me to Tommy Bolin and Jeff
recognized
Beck.
all the interest you had in it.
Yeah, he did. He was in a band called Crank himself and Cloudburst. I think they're both in the South Dakota Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But he was very influential in my listening habits when I became 14 and on.
Right. Yeah.
So Tommy Bolin is my favorite guitar player and one of my favorite songwriters. My absolute favorite songwriter is Burt Bacharach.
Really?
Yes.
I love Burt Bacharach songs.
I do too. I think they're
interesting,
marvelous.
Because I think that's the first time Burt Bacharach has been said as who a songwriting influence was.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was something else.
Yeah.
And in times when he would sing the hits that he had written for others, he'd just sit by that piano and he'd sing those melodies that he wrote in that imperfect voice of his. That gave me chills.
Yeah. I've always loved singing that. And I see the Christmas song, The Bell That Wouldn't Jingle.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh man, such good stuff.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so now let's move on. Present day and even just the recent past and so forth.
Okay.
How many bands you been in?
Oh boy, I think somewhere around in the upper 20s.
Wow.
Yeah, I tried to go through it one day, and then the next day I'd always, I forgot about that one. So I'm thinking somewhere north of 25 bands that I've been in.
All right. But recently you've got the one for the album.
These Broken Lines.
And then also 1,000 Watt Shine?
100 Watt Shine.
100 Watt Shine.
Yep. 100 Watt Shine.
I always like to put an extra zero on things.
Okay. 1,000 Watt Shine. That's a lot of
shine.
Yeah, that is. That band recorded 2 albums, and it's on pause now. I think people get busy doing other things. Most people that I work with in the studio are also in cover bands, and they're playing every weekend or whatever, and so 100 Watt got put on hold, and we still communicate and have a flurry of text messages with a bunch of nonsense in them, and I don't know if there's a plan to do something else, but I wouldn't rule it out, because it's a whole different kind of songwriting. When that band started, I wanted it to be a Southern rock thing. And then it kind of morphed into a little heavier sound, and then everybody was pitching in and writing, not just one or two guys. So it's a different kind of songwriting when you're working with 5 fellas at one time.
Right. Now, you mentioned the fact that you go around to nursing homes and so forth and do an acoustic set. But what about live on stage?
I don't do that anymore.
Not at all?
No, I left the Guilty Pleasures Orchestra.
Right.
Coming up on 2 years now, about 1.5 years ago. I don't want to sound condescending, because everybody does this for a different reason, right? I just don't enjoy playing covers anymore.
Yeah.
I
want to play your OG.
I want to do that. I want to see how good I can get at this, and it goes back to, I'm always a little self-conscious about my guitar playing when I'm in cover bands, because I can't play the guitar solos like these monster players do, and like some of these local guys can do.
Oh, no doubt.
We've got an immense amount of great guitar players in this region, and some of these guys are so adept they could play anybody's material. There's guys that can even do Steve Lukather solos, and I just have to back up and bow when I see those fellas do that kind of stuff. I'm not that guy.
Quotable, back up and bow.
I have been on stage with some monster guitar players in my lifetime, in Flat Cat and Aaron Barron and even 100 Watt Shine with Clint Kennedy. There's, the guy is a layerist. He can always find the perfect guitar part. It's one of those guys. So there's a lot of folks that do that kind of music well. And I was getting to the point where I don't want to learn somebody else's song anymore. I want to see how I can do it. I want to see what I can do.
I think it's been about, it's been over 10 years for sure. I want to say it's probably getting close to 13 years. I saw you one time out at the Alpine. I can't remember the name of the band.
Wow.
Yeah.
13 years. That's probably Hotel Oblivion, or I was playing with the Neo Johnsons for a while. We played out there.
Yeah.
Also, Stranded with Norman. It might have been that band. I might be forgetting somebody. Life Before Color could have been the other.
Okay.
One. But yeah.
When you're north of 25.
Yeah, I get them confused sometimes. I'll say, and that was back when this band. Oh, no, it wasn't. Somebody will correct me. No, that was this one.
How many songs have you written? Did you keep track, or is it just...
No, I never did. That's funny. I've done at least somewhere near 10 or 12 albums with my songwriting and other people's songwriting on them in the various bands I've been in. I think the first time I had it was 1989. The Freeloaders put out what was South Dakota's first compact disc by a recording band. But I was writing before then, albeit not, a little sophomoric, my writing. In the Aaron Barron Band, I started writing songs. And of course, I had the tutelage of the guys around me who were accomplished musicians when they hired me to be their quote unquote lead guitar player. But I think my writing got better with those guys, and then it got better with each band afterwards. But some of my favorite recording was with 100 Watt Shine is one, and the other would be Stranded with Norman. I think that's when I became serious about songwriting. And I think we did a show for South Dakota Public Television, Stranded with Norman, and it features my songwriting along with the guys in that band that contributed in the songwriting process. Yeah. But I don't know, maybe the number's probably not as big as I think. It might only be around 50.
That's still an accomplishment, though.
Yeah. I don't record everything I write, but most of it.
What's a song? Give us a little bit of what's a song that maybe you're working on right now in terms of writing and what we can expect then.
Okay. I'm working on a batch of 4 songs that'll be released in a different compilation. And the one that I'm most proud of is a song that I've actually wrote one about my wife,
Yeah.
And it touches on how our relationship ended when we were young, and I went on the road with Aaron Barron, and then I missed her.
Yeah.
It was dreadful, but I'm happy with the way the lyrics came out in that one, because what's the old adage? 3 chords and the truth.
Yeah.
My lyrics in this song are closer to the truth than anything I've ever written.
Wow. All right. Well, we look forward to hearing that then.
Yes, thank you.
And you said you just want to concentrate on your own stuff and recording in the studio. Any other goals in front of you that you have? Anything you really want to accomplish yet?
I'd love to perform these songs that I'm writing with these broken lines. It would be fun to get some folks together that would be willing to do my material. Yeah. That's kind of a tall order anymore, because most folks when they start bands, all of them have an idea what they want to do. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a little difficult for me to coax somebody into playing my material.
Right.
Yeah.
So. They need to change the twist-off tops on those bottles, don't they?
They really do. I thought I was going to biff this all over your studio, but...
Well, thankfully, it's just water.
I was practicing earlier on the way down, opening things, and I almost went in the ditch trying to get my Twizzlers bag opened. Who came up with that idea?
Exactly, yeah. There are so many things when it comes to, beverages, cat food, and Ziplocs and different things, and how things are packaged, that they should be government secrets on how we can eliminate the enemy. Well, give them some of this and they'll try opening that bag of Doritos for an hour.
And by then you can destroy them.
Yes.
And everything they stand for.
And then the cat food thing, it's like, we have a cat and we also have to have a dog, but the cat food, you rinse out the can even, and, there's still going to be some down in the sink, and then you wash the sink, and all of a sudden, a half hour later, there's still some dried up cat food, and it's a mother to get off. It's hard as hell.
They should pave roads with that stuff. Oh, man.
Oh, goodness gracious. We have had a great time, Brian Detmers. It's been a blast to get to know you a little bit better. And after we finish up here, I'll throw some other things toward you, and maybe that'll bring back the name of the band that was at the Alpine.
I wish I could remember that. That's 12 years, a long while back.
Yes, it is. Very much so. All right. Okay. As a first-time guest, you get the 2 questions.
Oh.
How you answer the first one depends on whether we need the second one.
Oh,
so
okay.
The first one is, when you're not involved in arts and entertainment, what do you like to be entertained by?
I love going to the movies with my wife and her daughter.
Oh, awesome.
I still love motion pictures.
Ugh.
Wouldn't it be great to get a song and a motion picture?
Yeah.
Hey.
Just call Kenny Loggins. He had quite a run there for a while.
You really did. And this year's nominees for best song and a motion picture. Oh, yeah,
All
him
right.
again.
So then you get question number 2. What about hobbies?
I like to ride bicycles. I like to shoot baskets.
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to be a great basketball player when I was young, but knees and ankles kept me out of that.
Yeah.
So
Are you spare parts like I am?
I am spare parts.
Okay.
I've got hardware in my right ankle. I have to carry. Well, I used to have to carry a card that says I'm a blonde-haired, blue-eyed non-terrorist.
Right.
But I don't have to do that anymore. The technology is such that they just scan you and they can see all that hardware in my ankle. And so, yeah, plate and 8 screws.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
See, I've got, fake knee on one side, fake hip on the other side.
Good Lord.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing you live upstairs. Good for you.
Well, we talk about that a lot. It's, like, well, if the downstairs unit ever comes up, do you want to move down there? I said, no, I love the upstairs. It's just so much better, whatever word you want to use, like zen or something along that line. I just love it up here.
Gazing out the window is better from upstairs.
Exactly. Yeah. And then the other thing is, we might try to make a bid to have the downstairs as well as the upstairs.
Oh, there you go.
And the studio would go downstairs.
There you go.
Yeah.
Then old fellers like me don't get all huffy puffy on the way up here.
Exactly. You noticed we have banisters all over the place. Yeah.
I'm prideful. I didn't use them.
Oh, my. All right. Hey, thank you so much. Appreciate your time, Brian. And like I said, wonderful to get to know you. And I look forward to new stuff coming from you.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it, Dave.
Appreciate it. And we'll be back with more of the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment. We have our first official PS to a conversation. Brian wanted to make sure the artists on Heart of Tennessee got credit. In addition to Brian playing rhythm guitar, Natty Jean, who's been on this show before, delightful lady, she provides the vocals. Val McCallum is on lead guitar. That last name sound a little familiar? That's David McCallum's son, the guy that played Ducky on NCIS. Monty Berenger is on bass, and Miles Hudson on the drums. Now back to our regularly scheduled program.
Ladies, when it's time to give your nails some love, get that extra special treatment from Quality Nails on South Minnesota Avenue in Sioux Falls. Manicures and pedicures that look great and make you feel fantastic. Zaya and Tony don't simply provide the service, they provide professional care for your hands and feet. Whether you just want the basics or you're looking for an extra special look with an added flair. Oh, and guys, it's okay to treat yourself too. Quality Nails on Minnesota. Call for an appointment, 605-334-1463.
Playing the Trio Jazz Club tonight at 6:30 is Gabriel Michael and the Enablers. Don't miss this soulful night. Friday night, 6:39, Victor Caello Quintet will get you moving in your seats. The Mississippi Hot Club is an exciting band out of Minneapolis. The Twin Cities Jazz Fest states, over the past 13 years, this quintet has become one of the Midwest's preeminent string bands. Find out for yourself as they take the stage Saturday at 6:30 and again at 9. For showtimes and tickets, as well as more information about upcoming shows, go online at triojazzclub.com.
Funny, engaging, connected. He's the entertainment reporter for Sioux Falls. Here's Dave
Welcome back,
Hawley.
everybody. Oh, you know, I must say it right off the top of each conversation. It is always a pleasure to talk Sioux Empire arts and entertainment. It's always a pleasure to have a returning guest. It's always a pleasure to have a new guest. We hit both of those today. And what else do we get out of it? It's a community event. Somebody's taking their art and their creativity and moving it in the direction of helping out organizations throughout town. Courtney Hardie, how are you?
I'm so good. Thank you.
I figured you would be. You know, if some people are just good, but I'm so good. That's perfect, Court. Yeah. Oh, we've known each other a long time.
So long.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it all started because of art.
Art. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We purchased one of your prints.
Mhm.
Then we purchased some more. Yeah. It's just it's a growing thing.
The way to bring people together.
Yeah. And that's what you're doing. Besides just bringing people together via the art world, you are putting it to use, using your creativity to help out others. And so what brought that about?
I've always been interested in helping other people. My top strength is empathy, and I always lead with that. And so being able to combine my strengths of art and creativity with my empathy led me to nonprofit work.
Mm-hmm.
And so I recently left where I was working for a nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
And now I just mainly volunteer I volunteer for 4 different nonprofits throughout town.
Wow.
And one of them being Midwest Street Medicine. Another is Emily's Hope. And another is Hurt a Life Coach Foundation.
Okay.
And the other one is, why can't I think of my 4th one? Something else.
Because after 3, you have to write them down.
Right.
That's what Carrie says about our grocery list.
Yeah.
That's more than 3 items. I got to start a list.
Right. Yeah. So, but I was moved by mission to help other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been really exciting to be able to partner with nonprofits in order to see where I can use my strengths. So that's kind of the main thing with what I do and the work that I do is leveraging my strengths. And one of those things, along with my creativity, is I'm really good at event planning and event consulting.
That's right. Yeah.
And so that's what I was called on by Diane to help with Midwest Street Medicine's first ever fundraiser that they're doing.
Wow. First time around. All right.
First time around.
Diane Eide, you are in charge of this or just part of it? What do you have like an official title in this?
Yes, I guess it was my idea, so I'm in charge of it, right?
Yeah.
So yes, I guess I'm in charge of it. And then I came across Courtney because we volunteer together at Emily's Hope. And I'm like, will you please help me? Because I really don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
I think this would be fun. And she thankfully said yes. So here we are.
All right. So this is going to take place on April 26th. And give us a little bit of an idea about what Midwest Street Medicine is and how it came about.
So Midwest Street Medicine was started almost 2 years ago. We're not quite there yet. By Dr. Emery and Dr. Detmers. Dr. Emery is a physician at Avera. Dr. Detmers is a addiction specialist who works at USD. Anyway, they decided to do this thing called Midwest Street Medicine. And basically what we do is we go out and help the unhoused in the Sioux Falls area. We started out with just backpacks and walking around town and finding where they are and seeing what they need. And, we always say we let them lead the program. Our motto is go to the people. We started out just handing out snacks and asking if they had any medical needs. Now we do go into the shelters and help people there. But we really like being on the streets.
Yeah. What's the extent that it goes to? You said, some snacks and so forth, but then did the first aid kit come along and so forth? And where are you at this point?
Yeah. So we have 49 volunteers.
Wow.
We have doctors, we have nurses, we have PAs, we have nurse practitioners, we have addiction specialists, we have CHWs, we have peer supports. We have the whole gamut. So it kind of, we see people, we're like, how can we help you? Do you have any medical needs? We've helped people get into treatment. We've helped people get into housing. Obviously help people go to the hospital if they need to. But our goal is really just to help them where they're at and help them how they need
what a
help.
fantastic program. I love it. So tell me, when it comes to, somebody on the street having a real medical need such as insulin, how do you go about that? How much does community health and so forth pitch in? Where do things like that land?
If somebody's like diabetic to the point of insulin, they need to be working with their primary care provider. And if they don't have one, we will help them make that connection. We also do help with medication management as much as we can.
Awesome.
We have a good partnership with Lewis Drug, and they help us navigate all of that also. So, we do what we can.
All right. So you approached Courtney.
Yep.
Courtney, what was your immediate response?
Oh, yeah, that sounds fun. I'd love to.
All right. So how's the fundraiser part of it going to take place?
So we're going to do a scavenger hunt, and we're going to start at Remedy Brew Pub, and then we're going to have different scenarios, and Courtney knows more about that. So we're going to have different scenarios, and it'll be kind of clue finding, escape room. They're going to be able to earn points. Depending on, and then we'll have prizes for first, second, and third place. After all the points are tallied at the end of the day, we'll figure out all that. We also have some great raffle prizes, so people can buy raffle tickets and win raffle prizes. I think it'll be fun.
Excellent. And how much are the raffle tickets?
$5 for one, or an arm length for 20 for raffle tickets.
Okay.
And we have about
keep going
25 different raffles. Opportunities.
Oh, so I could buy one arm length for one and one arm length for another?
You can put your raffle tickets in whatever box you want.
Okay.
And then we'll draw at the end. We will draw at the end of the...
What if I can't be there? Can I trust either one of you to throw them in?
If you can't be there, you're going to have to write your name and phone number on there.
On every one of them.
And we will...
I have horrible handwriting.
I got you, Dave. I got you.
Thank you, dear.
We'll try to connect with you.
Yeah.
We're not ruling it out. We'll do our best.
We'll make it work one way or another.
Yes.
Perfect. I like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Courtney, how did you get into the event planning part of it? Because your degree was in art, correct?
Yeah. So I graduated with a fine arts degree at Augustana back in 2017. And from there, I stayed working at the restaurant that I was currently at. I've been in the restaurant industry my whole life. And so transitioning to a big girl job or this professional job was an interesting navigation. But my first job was actually at Kello, our local news station. And from there, I got into doing events. I fell into a position that was helping me coordinate their Kelland Living show behind the scenes.
Right.
And then ultimately doing their Kelland Living Arts and Crafts show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's what I was on here before.
That's right.
Doing. And so through the Kelland Living Arts and Crafts show, I had to deal with, a little less than 100 different vendors trying to make that space and work and flow. And so there was a lot of things that I learned from that. And then just various odds and ends events here and there. But I've been doing the Kelland Living Arts and Crafts show for 5 years now. They still hire me back to help them out with it. And then through that, I was like, wow, I'm good at the details, right? And so any job that I've gone into, I always like being involved, whether that's with an event, with some sort of issue that we're trying to solve, some sort of, any sort of problem or thing that we may be stuck on. I'm like, bring me to the table. Let's have a conversation. Let's see what you need, what the problem is. And let's see if I, have any ideas or anything that I can do to contribute or to help. And so then that kind of just led me into Emily's Hope. I met Angela through Kello. And so then when I was doing the Kello Living Arts and Crafts show, she asked me, she's like, hey, would you want to help us with our poker run and our art show and auction every year? And I was like, oh, heck yeah. I love, and so then just being able to contribute to organizations larger than myself and to know that a community is only as strong as its weakest player, right? And so to be able to contribute to helping those that are underserved, that are disadvantaged, it really speaks to me. And so to be able to, like I said before, then, I'm not great at everything. I recognize that. But I think the idea
we think you're pretty great.
Yeah, absolutely.
The idea is to leverage the strengths that you do have in order to be the most beneficial, to be the most for these other organizations. And so I'm using what I have, what I've realized throughout the years is a strength of mine and something that I really enjoy doing and that I love, along with my love for helping community, and combining that to be able to just make some really cool special events and make sure that all the details are in place and that we're operating as best we can from an event standpoint.
All right, Diane, you said you're almost 2 years in, and this is the first fundraiser.
Right.
Yeah.
So
what do we have for goals on this and so forth?
As far as an amount, I have not set a goal.
Whatever comes in and take it.
And have fun and learn a little bit about the community. We have some great celebrities lined up, different community leaders that have agreed to help us. They're going to be in different spots, which are a secret.
You say that this starts at Remedy.
Yes.
Is that also the ending point?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, it'll start and end at Remedy, and then there's 7 other spots around town with different celebrities, is what we're calling them, different spots. That was also Courtney's idea. Yeah. So, and then they'll have clues, and they'll get points, and there'll be Midwest Street Medicine volunteers with the celebrities. So Courtney's got all that dialed down, but some of our celebrities are Angela Kennecke, Pat Gale from Sioux Falls Area Community Foundation, Nancy Halverson from the Levitt, Dawn Marie,
Alana Snyder with 605 Magazine, and Caden Whitman.
Yes, Caden Whitman. Yes.
Okay.
Last place.
Yes.
Good people.
Yeah,
no doubt about that.
It'll be fun.
When you approach somebody and say, hey, you want to help us out with this? And what if they say, well, what is it? Is it tough to explain to people, or are people pretty readily acceptable to it?
I think people are pretty readily acceptable. I mean, it's a scavenger hunt. I think a lot of people have done scavenger hunts before. Ours, I think, will be a little bit different because we want to bring some awareness too. But no, I think people have a general idea.
Oh, good. Yeah. What drew you to working with nonprofit?
That's a tough one. So I lost my son, it'll be 4 years ago in April, to overdose. So after I lost my son, I kind of switched to the nonprofit world. I had a job with the South Dakota Foundation for Medical Care, and I recently moved to working for Midwest Street Medicine full time. So, and always have been working with Angela, was one of the first people to reach out to me after I lost my son. Just said, hey, if you want to come help us, if we can help you, make that connection. I guess I've been hooked ever since.
Okay. Well, we're glad you are. Sad for the reason, but obviously, but fantastic that you've taken that and you're making something good out of it. Yeah. And so lucky to have somebody like Courtney alongside, who is very creative and has done so many different things in the world of art. And so what of her art did you see that you thought, gosh, this gal's just talented beyond belief?
I've seen her art at the Emily's Hope Art Show and other things, but she's very talented, very fun to work with, very good at pulling everything together.
And she even makes furniture. huge dining room table.
Yeah.
I have not seen that.
Oh, there are
Beautiful.
pictures out there. It's beautiful. It really is.
You're going to have to share.
Well, I think she can share with many people at that table.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good size.
A Juliet of all artistic trades. Is kind of what I like to say. I always, whatever it is, if it's something new, if it's a new opportunity, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
So love experimenting with new materials, new processes, and seeing what all I can create.
What was it first?
When I was a kid, I sawed my mailbox in half. Actually. And I just wanted to see what I could make with it. I don't remember what the end result was, but there was a lot of things that I was curious about. You know, I met life with curiosity, which is a blessing and a curse. I mean, the curiosity killed the cat, but I've been able to learn and grow so much from just asking myself how things work, or wanting to understand how something works, or how a person works, or how and so that led me not only with my art to be able to gain all this knowledge and to feel like I have no limits, and just to use my creative bounds in whatever way that it leads. If I find a scrap piece of metal, or I'm like a mini art hoarder, because I always think that I can use something for art later. My mom wanted to throw out a rug yesterday, and I was like, no, I think we should keep it, just in case I get some art things for it. So in that sense, but just translating that then to the work that I do with people. So meeting people with curiosity, and gaining a better understanding of other people who are not like me, which I think is huge in order to still maintain empathy, to have empathy, and then also just to have more compassion for humanity and humankind and human beings. Because at the end of the day, we are all human beings. I believe that people are innately good, and I think there have been circumstances that have led people, or choices that have led people, along with things outside of their control, to where they are today. And so giving those people the grace that I would want in return, and understanding that we all have this thing called life that we're trying to get through, and trying to use my strengths and my abilities to make that a smoother ride.
All right. How big do you want this to be?
The fundraiser or my art? Your art
and combining fundraising and so forth. And
as big as my capacity will allow it. I want people to see my art, or to know who I am, and to bring me into conversations, because I love that idea making, those idea conversations. And then I love being able to then create. So whatever it lends itself to. I mean, if I got a call tomorrow about someone in Australia wanting to have me do a mural, they're like, pay for my plane ticket. Yeah. I'm down there. So as big as...
Not only down there, you'd be down under. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm just excited about, I don't see any, limits, like I said before. So just seeing where it all can expand, and saying yes to opportunities that align with my personal mission, my own, want for creativity, and then just having that initial connection of art as advocacy, and then also combining that with just my creativity to help the community. So,
yeah. Diane, are you creative?
No, not at all.
Okay, so it was like, hey, here's this person that could do this, and we want to...
Zero artistic talent. So I can put puzzles together.
Oh, my late mother would have loved you. I'm the only one in the family that doesn't do puzzles. Oh. I do crosswords. Yeah. Because I got to keep the old noggin going, All right. Midwest Street Medicine presents Reality Check, a quest to escape the streets. Whose slogan was that? Who?
Yeah.
You came up with that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you also bring in escape rooms.
So it's a mix of, so it's like an escape room, but on a downtown scale. So you do have clues or little nuggets along the way that'll lend you to the next location. And then we're having people answer clues in order to gain points and questions about the house's population in order to gain awareness. So we'll actually be giving each person at Remedy an identity of a house's person that's actually based on real statistics. So everything that we have is real life simulated.
Yeah. I like the term you've both used. Unhoused. Yeah.
Person without home. Yeah.
Right.
Trying to reduce the stigma.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, that's so big for so many people. And regardless, I always tell people, hey, they have hearts, they have souls, they have minds, just like you. Don't be so brutal to them and so forth. Now, I don't expect you to maybe have the statistic, but the unhoused number in this community is way higher than people think, isn't it?
Yes. I think they just did the point in time count, and there was like 600, and I don't quote me.
Yeah.
Some.
Yeah, but it was I saw that number, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, it's significant. And, they divide it by sheltered versus unsheltered. And the sheltered numbers, again, don't quote me on numbers, have risen over the last year. So I think that there's a couple articles out that talks about the point in time and has the facts out better.
Yeah. And then also, sadly, the portion of children that are in that number.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's disheartening.
Right. Fortunately, a lot of the children are sheltered. Not that they have homes, but they are sheltered, which is good. We don't want to have children out there in elements.
Well, people get out there and help these people. April 26th, it's going to start and end at the Remedy Brewing Company, and 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Nice, compact time frame. I like that. And an afternoon start.
Yeah.
For once, instead of a 9 o'clock registration type thing and so forth. How do people get involved then? Do they just show up for this? What's going to take place?
If you pre-register, which if you go onto our website, midweststreetmedicine.org, we have a Facebook page, we have Instagram, we have all that. If you pre-register and get tickets, you can have teams of 1 to 4 people. You can either do this on your own, or you can do this with 3 other of your friends or family. If you get your tickets prior to the day of, you get a free raffle ticket. So there's that. Other than that, you can just show up and we'll get you going.
Fantastic. Looking forward to it. And thank you both so much. Now, Courtney's been a guest here before. You have not, but so I'm going to have to come up with a different question, because normally it's when you're not in the arts and entertainment world, what do you like to be? Well, let's just go with it anyway. What do you like to be entertained by?
My grandbabies.
How many ages?
That I have an 11-year-old.
Okay.
And then I have a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Oh, wow.
So the 2-year-old and 1-year-old keep us very, very
I can imagine so.
Yeah.
What kind of hobbies do you have then, besides taking care of grandchildren?
I don't know. My husband and I like to go to movies. We like to go for walks. We like to hang out with the family.
Excellent.
I don't have a lot of extra hobbies, I guess. I like to read books. Nothing.
Awesome.
Nothing super fun. We like to travel.
Oh, that's plenty of fun. To the East
Coast 2 days after the scavenger hunt. We're going to go to New York and then go north up to Maine and go to Acadia and visit all places.
You have got something we want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, my husband all set it all up, so I'm not even sure. I just packed my
We've got about 8 trips that we would like to do. We do have a couple of them coming up this year that at least we'll, get those taken care of. Mostly involving the Chicago Cubs, whether at home or on the road.
Fun.
All right, Court, you've been here before, so you've answered those questions. Now you get a new one. Yeah,
all right, I'm ready.
Here we go. What is your mantra word?
My mantra word. Just one word.
Or one quick phrase. I'll give you.
Phrase. There's a buzz going around. I think it came up last year of the words "let them." And so it's this idea of, taking back that internal locus of control and understanding that I can't control other people and that sometimes I just have to let them.
Yeah.
And then focus on myself and focus on what is in my control.
Yeah, because the focusing on other things that you don't have in your control can waste a lot of time and energy.
Yes.
No doubt about that.
I actually do. So before our interview yesterday, I actually looked up some statistics about the unhoused just so that I was prepared. So if I'm correct, it was 641
okay.
Which is a 7% increase from last year's unhoused, the most we've ever had. There's been a double. The amount of women who are unhoused have doubled, and the amount of domestic violence survivors who are unhoused have tripled.
Wow.
So, those are statistics from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So, like I said about, and going back to things outside of your control and in your control. I mean, I think that there is a lot of stigma behind the unhoused and this perception that people have that are, saying that they did this to themselves or, other things. And there's a lot of things that were outside of people's control.
Yeah, so many factors that go into that.
Yeah, have led to it. And you know how we're always just like, I've got like a 3-degree separation to Obama. A person that knows a person that knows a person.
Yeah.
Well, the likelihood that a person that knows a person that's unhoused is also very likely too.
Yeah.
So your degree of separation is just that much closer, And so thinking it in those terms, just really understanding, going back to humanity and the fact that they are human beings and that I think as a human right, I think we have a right to dignity. We have a right to
healthcare.
A right to healthcare, a right to be housed and have our basic needs be met.
Yeah. All right. Well, my mantra is compliment. And I compliment the two of you for what you are doing. For you, Diane, here in the community, being with Midwest Street Medicine, and fantastic work. And I have a donation for you, as long as it comes with raffle tickets. Courtney, oh dear, so great to see you as always. And of course, appreciate everything you do, taking your creativity and your art and moving it on to help so many other people. Appreciate you both.
Appreciate it.
All right. And thanks for your time today. And we'll be back to wrap up the Dave Holly Hour in just a moment. Celebrate International Jazz Day with the Fellowship Jazz Center Wednesday, April 30th. It's going to be in the Belbus Theater at the Washington Pavilion, 7 p.m. We're thrilled to announce the debut of the Fellowship Jazz Center Orchestra. FJCO will deliver an unforgettable evening of vibrant music, celebrating one of America's greatest art forms, jazz. This special event also shines a spotlight on the future of jazz with an opening performance by Mitchell High School Jazz 1. The night will feature works by American composers. This inaugural concert is a true celebration of the power and spirit of jazz. For more information, including purchasing tickets, go online to fellowshipjazzcenter.org. Also, while on that site, check out the Jazz Crawl set for next Saturday, the 19th. Great acts and great venues.
Are you an artist? Need some funding to further your art? There's a great opportunity for you through a Sioux Falls Arts Council program. The Artist Microgrant program gives away several microgrants to local artists, no matter what art discipline you're in. Unlike more traditional grants, a microgrant is very easy to apply for. Go to artssiouxfalls.org. If you haven't done so yet, create a listing on the Artist Directory. which is beneficial in its own way. Then go to the Artist Microgrants page and apply online. The process is simple. Find out more about the Sioux Falls Arts Council as well online at artssiouxfalls.org.
Dr. Perry Langston and Dr. Corey Tooney know excellence is in you. That's why they provide you with excellent care at XO Chiropractic, improving your overall health in spirit, body, mind, and will. Get results the natural way. Arrange a consultation, 605-332-9235 or exokairos.com. Excellent care for excellent people. XO Chiropractic, located at 4309 South Racket Drive in Sioux Falls.
He's a bit flirtatious, but most of all, fun. Once again, here's Dave Hawley.
Thanks again to my great guests, Brian Detmers and Courtney Hardie and Diane Eide. I encourage you to find your art. Find the art you enjoy. Find the art you're interested in trying. Now, if you need a couple of suggestions for the weekend, we're going to be at Improv Falls Friday night, and then Women Playing Hamlet at Mighty Corson Art Players Saturday night. So we'll see you in the arts. As the Sioux Falls Arts Council says, together we art. As Arts South Dakota says, home is where the art is. As I say, put some art in your heart. Remember, my name is Dave Hawley, and for me, every day is a holiday.
The Dave Hawley Hour has been brought to you by Trio Jazz Club, Sioux Falls' premier jazz club, Serendipity Studio Gallery and Gifts, Chasers Food and Spirits, Excel Chiropractic, Quality Nails, and the Sioux Falls Arts Council. Stay up to date on the show by following on Instagram and Facebook. All episodes available anytime at DaveHawleyHour.com. The Dave Hawley Hour is produced in the Dipsy Doodle Studios by Big D Entertainment.
Thanks for listening.